Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to tonight's live stream for the FA Cup quarter-final draw and instant reaction. The last 8 ties are all going to be revealed very shortly. There's still a couple of games left to play to decide the last two teams. We've got Everton against non-league Boreham Wood tonight, and then an all-championship affair with Nottingham Forest against Huddersfield Town. I'm just going to bring the ball numbers up for tonight's draw. Chelsea will be ball number 1. There'll be ball number 1 in the draw. Other notable teams to look out for: Manchester City ball 3, Liverpool ball 4. The other Premier League sides guaranteed a space in the quarterfinals are Crystal Palace ball 2 and Southampton ball number 5. So Chelsea ball 1, that's the important one that we will be looking out for. So up on the screen there. George, have you enjoyed the 5th round tie so far, mate? What have you made of it? We've seen Middlesbrough continue their giant killing spree, having knocked out United in the previous round. They then beat Spurs in extra time. We've also seen Championship side Nottingham Forest knock out Arsenal and Leicester in consecutive rounds. Do you think that the gap between the Premier League and the teams in the lower divisions, particularly in a one-off game, is actually closing a bit now?
Possibly, and I understand that some people have overhyped the fact that the magic of the FA Cup has returned with these so-called giant killings. But are they really giant killings? I mean, you're only looking at Championship sides against Premier League opposition, and don't forget, a lot of these Premier League sides don't tend to still field their best teams out for these fixtures. Now, obviously, being Chelsea fans, we still feel like we have a good enough squad, regardless of what we put out, to get the job done. But others are a bit more stretched. And I do wonder why some of the Premier League sides don't take it as seriously, particularly in these last stages where you only need a run of maybe 2 or 3 games to then get, you only need 2 more wins in this one to get to Wembley. So I do find it a bit odd, but Spurs going out to Middlesbrough, did it surprise me? No, not particularly, because that is classic Spurs. I thought last night surprised me a little bit. I know there's distractions going on at the club and it was well documented, obviously, in your previous show. But, I think the only giant killing left, really, potentially, you've got the giant killers at the moment in Middlesbrough, and Boreham Wood's really the one to watch out for against Everton tonight. But no, has the gap been closed? Not particularly. I just think it's the classic case where those Championship sides, they're up for a big day out, more so than the Premier League, who at this stage of the season are so fixture congested that you've got some tired legs out there.
I will get your thoughts on the Chelsea game shortly, mate. But I've just brought the results up on the screen so far from the 5th round. Obviously, 2 games to be played tonight. Fairly standard. The only really one you wouldn't have expected to see was Middlesbrough beating Tottenham. The rest fairly straightforward. I just want to get your thoughts on Southampton beating West Ham. West Ham obviously going for the top 4. This is a big opportunity. I don't know when the last time West Ham won a trophy was. Are you surprised to see them get turned over 3-1 by Southampton?
Yeah, Southampton have turned a little bit of a corner, haven't they, in the league as well? But again, you think maybe their priorities have changed slightly because the Europa League is so big now, or the Europa Conference League, whatever they're in. They're in the latter stages of that, and obviously pushing for 4th spot. But again, that's why I started at the top of the show with I do wonder, and I do get surprised why these sides that don't necessarily win a lot of trophies, or even get into finals for that matter, don't take the competition a bit more seriously when they actually get to these latter stages. Southampton, a very winnable game, and for whatever reason they haven't turned up, and it just does baffle me slightly.
Yeah, no, it really does. I mean, obviously the standard, you see City and Liverpool getting through, no real surprises there, beating lower league opposition. They probably are, as much as we don't like to say it, they probably are the 2 best teams in England at the moment. And Crystal Palace advancing to the last 8, scraping by Stoke as well. So a lot of Premier League representation in there. You'd imagine Everton beat Boreham Wood tonight, so you're left with basically 6 Premier League teams and 2 Championship sides. So the draw is going to be, you're going to be getting a better level of opposition again in this next round. Before we talk about the next round, George, I want to get your thoughts on the Chelsea game. Obviously, I've spoken at length in previous videos about the match, so you can go back and check those out on the channel. Mate, what are your thoughts on it briefly? Obviously, the big distractions with the club being obviously confirmed that it's going to be sold off the pitch. That kind of dominated the build up to the game, and you could almost have been forgiven for forgetting that we actually had a match last night. I'm not surprised that we struggled given everything that's been going on. How did you see it?
Yeah, I think at the time while I was watching it, I was a bit like, bloody hell, boys, this is a bit of a poor show, to concede literally within inside the first minute or so. Really made hard work of it against a side that we should be beating quite comfortably. But we have to then, after looking at the result and the comeback that we produced, I actually put it on a positive spin. Quite a positive performance, getting again a few goals. Lukaku and Werner both getting on the score sheet. Okay, it's against Luton Town away, but it's goals. I don't care where they come from. It's goals. And considering, like you said, all the circumstances that have been floating around in the last 48 hours, 72 hours or so, I think that could have been a potential more fuel to the fire for the media to go in on Chelsea. And we responded just as we should do, which is getting results on the pitch and not letting that background noise, be brought to the forefront of what we're trying to do, which is to still win trophies. And I thought it was actually an impressive comeback to what could have been quite disastrous.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And considering there was quite a lot of players out as well, it's easily one of those games where it could be a potential banana skin. And in reality, it turned out to be kind of a classic English cup tie that you would associate, with the FA Cup over the years. I know they're not like proper lower league opposition. They are already one league down. So it's not like they're awful, but it is a game that Chelsea should be winning. I just wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of players' performances. Ruben Loftus-Cheek playing in that back three and obviously then playing a little bit further forward when we changed formation in the second half when chasing that equaliser. I was really impressed with him. I thought it was really good. I just want quick thoughts on him.
Yeah, well, we've said it before. Sometimes he gets lost in that number 8 role where he's not sure if he was an attacking player or a holding player. But his physical presence, we all know it at the club. He's one of those, big statures at the club in terms of his physical ability. And that position might suit him. Okay, he's not going to play there as a first team regular, but and again, it's against championship opposition. But he did carry himself very well, I thought. And considering he hasn't played a lot of football, I was very impressed with his display yesterday. I really was.
Yeah, no, I think it's promising for Ruben. Again, he seems to be fully fit after a few fitness issues over the last couple of weeks. And again, he's showing what he can offer to this side. But again, like with a lot of other players, it's consistency. And we need that level of performance on a more regular basis. But he's definitely still got a role to play this season. George, in terms of the FA Cup, has it taken on added significance now with the fact that we obviously, unfortunately, lost the Carabao Cup final last weekend? Champions League, as much as would like to think we're going to do really well, it's going to be very tough to retain that trophy or make the final again. So the FA Cup now is actually, like it is every season, it's actually very important. We've obviously made the last 2 finals and unfortunately lost both of them. But again, we're within touching distance now of an opportunity to get to another FA Cup final.
Yeah, we've got to take it seriously, and we do. I think we're one of the better clubs who always tries to field the best team possible. We obviously have to rotate, but I've always said it, and we've both said it on this show this season, that we do still feel that we've got a very strong squad. Okay, we might not be as consistent as Manchester City and Liverpool, but I think when it comes to cup runs, we're as good as any at going through all the cup competitions. And we know, obviously, other than Real Madrid, the Champions League, to defend it is almost near impossible. So you're then looking at, this is probably our best bet. And, I'll tell you what, a Super Cup, a Club World Championship, a League Cup final, and then winning an FA Cup, it's not a bad season considering the circumstances we've been in with the whole situation with Lukaku and Roman Abramovich recently just selling the club. And, it's not bad, I'd have to say. I mean, yes, the league performance could be better, but I think this is now the pivotal cup for us to go on and win, and we can do this. We can.
No, we definitely can, 100%. I mean, me and you were talking briefly before we went live that, despite all the trophies we've won, the last time we actually won a domestic cup was the 2018 FA Cup. And, we've been to 4 finals since then, and we've lost all of them. So, how important is it that we actually get a domestic trophy on the board pretty quickly? Because despite all the European and world success, domestically, which is where we do want to dominate, and we have done in the past, the silverware in recent years is lacking.
I know, and I said it's being greedy because there's probably other fans from other clubs saying, "Oh, do us a favour, you've won everything. Like, how greedy can you be that you've said you've not won enough trophies?" But I was listening to you on TalkSport this morning, and you actually go through what Roman Abramovich has won, and yes, of course, it's impressive, but there are a lot of big gaps in there. I mean, again, I'm not saying that Community Shield is a big trophy, but we've only won 2 of those in his whole time at the club. If you consider that to get into that so-called Mickey Mouse introductory pre-season trophy, you just need to win the league or the FA Cup, and the amount of finals that we've been in the FA Cup and the amount of times we've won that's pretty poor. And like you said, 4 years without a domestic trophy for a club that is so-called the trophy-winning machine. It's not good reading to lose 4 finals in a row. It's really not. We do not want to become a situation where we turn into a Spurs and we can't turn up on the big occasion. That might sound a bit ridiculous considering we've just recently won the biggest trophy of all against the biggest side. But I'm putting it into context in terms of our, when's the last time we had a league run?
Yeah, we haven't since we won it under Conte. We haven't had a run at the league. So yeah, I mean, whilst I know it sounds a little bit spoiled, and we're not complaining, but ultimately, domestically, we do need to improve. And there's no shying away from those facts that despite being the most successful club since Abramovich took over, most successful club in England, I think it's like 19 trophies or whatever it is in 21 years or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. Or 21 trophies in 19 years, it might be. It's something along those lines. There's a lot of trophies. Domestically, we have struggled in recent years, and it's vitally important that over the summer, and it's going to be a bit of a tumultuous time. We're not sure what's going to happen. New owners, is that going to affect the investment in the summer? Is that going to affect, new contracts being offered to players? There's a lot of uncertainty around the club at the moment. And, it would be great to sort of round off the season with an FA Cup and to head into that summer under new ownership with building up a full steam of, I fucked that phrase completely. Full head of steam, that's the one. Couldn't make that's criminal from me. We can't even edit it out. Well, I can't edit it out because it's live, so I'm just going to have to. I've just bumbled on with that, and but yeah, domestically we do definitely need to improve. The draw is imminently coming up after this ad break. George, in terms of the quarterfinals, from a selfish perspective, we probably like a tie at Stamford Bridge, so it increases our chances of getting tickets to go. Yeah. But from an overall club perspective, once you get to this stage of the competition, there's not really any easy games. Obviously, in the next round, we'd ideally like to avoid City and Liverpool if we can. No disrespect to the other sides involved, but you'd rather get one of those than the 2 big ones. But if we were to get City and Liverpool, I would obviously rather get them at home than away. I'd fancy our chances a lot more at the Bridge rather than at Anfield or the Etihad. But in terms of the next round for you, do you mind, or do you think, do you know what, bring it on? We can take on anyone.
I think in this competition we can, because I think when it comes to this competition, teams up until the final tend to rotate. And I think squad-wise and depth-wise, we have a matching squad to Liverpool and Manchester City. I agree with your idea that we would ideally want them at home. It's a tighter pitch. And I was mentioning to you before the show that actually, let's go and say we advance through this round. I certainly wouldn't want Liverpool or City at Wembley, just because that pitch and that size really suits their style of play. Whereas I think if we played them at the Bridge, for example, I think we've got more of a chance. It's the fine details, but we've had plenty of big FA Cup semi-finals against the lower opposition, like the Villas, who can't seem to adapt to it, and we get through. Whereas the bigger sides tend to show up. So, listen, I'll take anyone, but it is getting tougher. But I mean, let's hope that Boreham Wood can do a job on Everton, and then maybe we could get them.
I mean, I guess like if Everton were to get the job done against Boreham Wood, I guess the tie that everyone would associate with Chelsea would like to get is Everton at Stamford Bridge, like a return for Frank Lampard. I think that would be like the emotional tie that we'd like to see. But I mean, I sort of share your sentiments. I'm not really that bothered who we get. Yes, I'd like to avoid those 2 big sides, but we've seen already. Obviously, I know we convincingly beat Chesterfield, but we struggled against League One Plymouth, just scraped by. We only scraped by last night against Championship Luton. So even if we were to get a Middlesbrough or a Forest or Huddersfield, depending who goes through in that, one of the Championship sides, yes, that's a more favourable draw. But there's no guarantees there either. And, as we've seen, we have struggled against those lower league teams. And Middlesbrough have knocked out United and Spurs in consecutive rounds. Forest knocking out Arsenal and Leicester in consecutive rounds. So there's actually no guarantees that actually, a lower league side would be any more favourable.
I think in some ways they can be more dangerous. I don't actually want to face Middlesbrough. I think they're the giant killers of the competition so far, and they've got that fever now where they really do feel like they can smell that trophy and smell the air at Wembley. And I actually think that Middlesbrough will get to Wembley in some capacity, whether it be a semi-final or a final. I really do. I think they've got a bit of cup fever, so I wouldn't want to face Middlesbrough at all. I would actually rather face Everton than Middlesbrough at this current time. Honestly,
I get what you're saying, particularly with those championship sides as well. They've got nothing to lose, really. They can just go for it 100% and, no fear. Whereas when you're expected to win, it can be often a bit more difficult to play. But it's going to be interesting. One game away from Wembley, and I think our run of avoiding Premier League opposition, unless we get very lucky in this draw, is going to come to an end. I mean, I'd be very happy with a Southampton or a Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
That would be good. I'd also take an Everton definitely at home. Everton at Goodison, for some reason, we don't play well at Goodison at all. And we seem to find it really difficult. Got a really poor record there. At Stamford Bridge, I'd probably fancy us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's exciting when you get down to the latter stages of the competition now. Wembley's in touching distance, and the draw is going to commence very shortly. We've got England manager Gareth Southgate who will be conducting the draw. So hopefully,
your favourite.
Yeah, my favourite. I mean, no, I don't hate him, but I just think he cocked up the final. I'm sorry.
It's on record.
Yeah, mate, it's on record. Right, here we go then. Here we go. Chelsea will be ball number 1 in the draw. Manchester City, ball 3. Liverpool, ball 4. Those are the big teams left in. Gareth Southgate, England manager, is doing the draw. Hopefully he gets this right. And yeah, we'll go from there. He's probably being instructed at the moment how to empty the balls into the pit. So yeah, if they could just get on with that, that would be ideal. Don't need any of this waffle, Gareth. Come on, we're here for the draw, and just do us a solid and pick us a home tie.
Yeah,
what's this? Theo, thanks for tuning in, mate. Appreciate your support as always. Would you take Borough? Just covered that. Yes, I would take it, but it wouldn't be as easy as people make it out to be. At Stamford Bridge, I would feel okay about it. Away from home, I'd be like, all right, this is actually quite tough. Away, like Borough at home, you would take. Away from home, that is quite tough, if we're being honest. And it's an absolute mission to get there as well. So it's not really fan friendly either. So hopefully we can avoid a long away trip. But
I feel like Southampton away is coming up. That's my prediction.
You're predicting Southampton away.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go for it. Why not?
I mean, absolutely ideal situation would be Man City to draw Liverpool in this round.
Oh yeah, we want that.
They're
going to get Boreham Wood. You just know it. Everton or Boreham Wood, they're going to get, or probably Crystal Palace.
Oh, City. It'll be an easy tie for City, like they always get. This sounds like a bit bitter, but they do. They do. It's like, when was the last time Manchester City had a tough match in a domestic cup? It doesn't happen.
Yeah, not until they get to the finals. No,
not until they get to the semis or the final. So it's criminal, really, that how easy they get it. But yeah, we'll take it. Oh, why are they doing this? Honestly, like all we want is the draw, and they're showing the bloody highlights of Middlesbrough Spurs and chatting to Southgate about it. No, I'm not interested in that. Can we just get on with this? Seriously. But yeah, FA Cup, it's exciting, and as we said earlier, George, we this is one we'd like to win. We'd like to win every trophy we're in, but as we touched on, domestic form not so good. So if we,
I have to say, it's probably one of my first memories as a kid. I remember my mum recorded the 2002 FA Cup against Arsenal, and I was away, so I couldn't watch the final live. Came back to watch the recording on VHS, and we lost 2-0, obviously, Ray Parlour and Freddie Ljungberg, and I just remember crying the whole day.
Mate,
so it's one of my... Well, no, but it means that...
Oh, here we go. Sorry to interrupt, mate. We're at Gareth Southgate, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are at home, and they will play Everton or Boreham Wood. So Crystal Palace versus Everton or Boreham Wood is the first one out the hat, or...
Right.
Pit. I'm absolutely battering this. Sorry, guys. Ball number 7 is out next. Ball number 7 is Nottingham Forest or Huddersfield Town.
Come on. We'll
at home. Come on, Gareth. Do your thing. Ball number 1. Please see ball number 1. Ball number 4. Liverpool. Liverpool will travel to Forest or Huddersfield. There's a surprise. This has got Chelsea, Man City written all over it.
Come on.
Ball number 6. Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough will have a home quarter-final. A home quarter-final for Middlesbrough. And they will take on ball number 1, Chelsea.
Oh, no.
So the run continues. We've avoided Premier League team, but we've got a tough away tie against Giant Killers Middlesbrough. We'll get our instant reaction to that once the draw's concluded. Ball number 5 will be a home tie for Southampton. So having beaten West Ham 3-1, they got another home tie. And they will face ball number 3, Manchester City.
Ooh,
Southampton, Manchester City. I think that concludes the draw then. Cheers, Gareth. George, instant reaction. Middlesbrough, Chelsea. We were talking about it just then. That's gonna be a difficult one.
Yeah, my initial reaction, a lot of Chelsea fans think, oh, brilliant, we've avoided Premier League opposition. But my initial reaction was a negative one. I just feel like there are certain teams in certain years in the FA Cup that just seem to tackle everything in their path. And this year, that's Middlesbrough. And as much as we think, again, we've avoided the 2 big ones, which is great. I think Middlesbrough are just as dangerous this year. I really do. I'm not going to say that we're going to get knocked out, but like you said, it's not as easy as people might think.
No, it really isn't. I mean, there's not really any standout ties in that round. You know, all the so-called big teams have avoided each other. I know Liverpool probably got the easiest draw of the round, you'd have to say, away at, well, I'd say easiest. I mean, they got Forest or Huddersfield away. We've got Middlesbrough away. All the big 3 teams left in it are all away from home. Yeah. Crystal Palace against Everton or Boreham Wood. We should be able to make the semis, you would think. But I mean, your thoughts on the draw as a whole? Not too many exciting ties really in there, is there?
It's about as exciting as Gareth Southgate's football, isn't it? Really?
Just
boring and predictable. So it wasn't particularly exciting. But look, I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You've got Championship opposition, you'll take it. Okay, we are not at home, but we've avoided Manchester City and Liverpool, which is what we wanted. So we should still have enough. But look, I think that is the tie of the round for me.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting tie. I really do. Middlesbrough in great form, particularly in the Cup. We're in pretty decent form. It's another away tie, so back-to-back away ties. Unfortunately for us, it's probably going to be a bit too far of a trek to go, but might consider it. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much rounds out the stream for tonight. The quarterfinal draw is done now. So we've 1 match away from Wembley again. I mean, just briefly on that, George, what are your thoughts on the semi-finals being played at Wembley? I can't stand it. I think it's ridiculous.
No, I really liked it when it was at a neutral venue like Villa Park or something like that. I really liked that idea, like a neutral venue for a semi, and then you go to Wembley. I hate the idea that teams can get to Wembley. It just takes away the whole magic of the road to Wembley. What is the point if you're playing a semi-final there? I find it absolutely ridiculous. But again,
yeah. Well, it's what it is, isn't it? And look, do you know what? Like, all things being said, we would have taken that draw before. Like, we'd have taken that draw. We offered it before. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but fully back the boys. I'm not sure when that tie is going to be. I imagine it's going to be towards the end of this month, possibly next month. I'm not actually too sure. But yeah, we avoided Liverpool and Manchester City, which is a big plus. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. Appreciate all of your support. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. Make sure you smash like on this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. We're edging ever closer to that 400 subscribers mark. So please do help us get there. Spread the word. Tell your mates about it. Get them to subscribe. And if you're watching now, you're watching it back and you're not subscribed, please click that button. All the support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for joining in. George, thanks for your time as always, mate. Chelsea will take on Middlesbrough at the Riverside Stadium in the quarterfinals for a place in the semi-finals at Wembley. And guys, we'll be back tomorrow with a match preview for the Burnley game on Saturday. So until then, take care, up the Chelsea, and catch you soon.